Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Insilico Terminal podcast. My guest today is AvgReplyGuy, and I would like to ask you to tell us a bit about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? How do you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, AvgReplyGuy, I guess is my name now, the name I gave myself. Been on this, like on CT, on this Twitter account for like 4 years now, I think. But before that, I had like another a Twitter account that wasn't for crypto Twitter, but just for other stuff. And I already followed some of the big guys, like like Kobe and guys like that. And then at one point, I decided to like 2021, when stuff started going crazy again, I figured, you know what, might as well make a Twitter account for crypto Twitter, because I started understanding like, oh, that's like a thing. There's like a Twitter just for crypto. So then I made my account, and I think I just called myself Average Crypto Guy because I thought I don't know why I did that, but that's what I called myself. And then I just started reply guying, like everyone, because you can do two things when you make a Twitter account, and one of them is just tweeting into the void, and the other is just reply guying, trying to get some make some friends, just kind of shit post. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the past like 4-ish years, all the while trading a bit of crypto here and there. So yeah.
How did you get into crypto? What attracted you to it in the first place?
I got into crypto like 2016, and that was because in school I actually had a subject that talked about Bitcoin for a bit. So then my entire class kind of got into it. And there was this guy who was on his laptop mining Ethereum next to me at one point. So I asked him like, "What are you doing?" And he explained, and he was like very anti-Bitcoin and pro-Ethereum. So he kind of like ETH-pilled me from the start. So all I did then was like I was a very poor student, which by the way is why I'm still poor to this day, because I bought like my first ETH. I bought it like $12 or something, but it was like $30 worth, because I was super poor. And I ended up buying a bit more, and then my entire class, like this was during like the 2017, like when that's the big altcoin bull run started. So we were all like
university or high school.
No, this was college. So I did university after this was in college, and ended up like aping a bunch of shitcoins with all my classmates on Bittrex. That's kind of how I got started. We would all like get sucked into pump and dump groups, and the whole experience, and that's kind of how I got started. Yeah.
Are you still in contact with some of those people? Are they still in crypto? Do you know?
I used to have an old group chat, but that's been dead for a few years. I think there's one or two guys that also have a Twitter account and follow me, I think. And I sometimes see them pop up, at least one of them. So I think one of them is still in crypto. The rest of them, a lot of them, like kind of got cleared out by the pump and dump groups, and like had a proper crash out in the chat. So like, I'm done with this. I lost my money, because this pump was a scam, and then they left and never returned.
As it happens to most normies, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you get started with trading more seriously?
Well, I was mostly at the start just kind of, because in 2017, all I did was buy. Like I didn't touch the sell button until like 2021 or something. So all I did was just buy stuff, and well, I guess I swapped between coins a little bit here and there. But mostly it was just buy and hold, right? Like everyone gets started. Like the hold meme was such a big thing back then. It's like just buy, never sell. This stuff is gonna go, and I got like, sucked into all the like the tech stuff, like I've talked about this before, like Ant shares, like Neo or whatever it is now.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
I fully believe that was going to be the next Chinese Ethereum, stuff like that. So I would buy a whole bunch of that, make like pretty good returns, especially for me at the time, and then just hold it all the way down to zero. And then 2020 rolled around, and 2019, went through the bear market. I saw my portfolio just go to close to zero, and I just realized, okay, if you want to win here, you need to sometimes take some chips off the table, because otherwise all you're doing is just sitting in the roller coaster that'll that image where it just goes euthanasia coaster or whatever it's called. So I started selling a little bit here and there, and started a bit more active with like mostly just swing positions, trying to trade a little bit, and most importantly started taking some profits. And also what really helped me is that most of my cost basis is just from selling game currency, like from RuneScape. I used to play a lot of RuneScape, and I would just sell the RuneScape gold, and I would swap like most of the traders, like they would get banned off of PayPal, and they started using crypto. So I would actually sell RuneScape gold for Bitcoin and for Ethereum and stuff. And I did that a bunch in 2019, and then kind of accidentally bought the bottom of that, because I was at like 3 or 4K or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me a nice head start into 2021. And that's when I also got active on Twitter, started following some people here and there, started experimenting a little bit more, and just kind of grew from there.
Does playing RuneScape have any positive impact on your trading today? I've never played it, but I think many people have on CT.
Yeah, I think it does, because it gives you a basic understanding of markets. Because RuneScape has had, like, this game's been out for 25 years or something, but it has a massive like in-game economy, and they actually have like they used to have pump and dump clans, they used to call it. Like, they would buy up a bunch of this like obscure item and pump the prices up and like advertise everywhere, and like there were a couple of things that were really similar to other markets. So I think so, and it also really helps you be very careful with potential scams and stuff, because in RuneScape everyone's always trying to hack you and scam you for your items, and you really learn quickly. You get scammed at a very young age, so you learn to really not trust anyone. And I think that's also, like, in something like crypto, is super helpful. I think people kind of underestimate that, but you learn about like human nature and stuff, as well as a bit about market. So I think it has helped me, and everyone, there's quite a few people on CT as well. Like, there's one trader, I think his name is Spicy, I think. I don't know if you know him. He posts a lot of like educational content. That's someone who I think I used to sell gold to, or I used to have this Discord message from him. Yeah, when I was trying to sell him gold. So I know he used to do a lot of like gambling in RuneScape, because there used to be a way to do like plus EV gambling in RuneScape. So I know a lot of those guys have kind of just rolled over into crypto trading as well, because I see that on the timeline quite a few times. So that's really funny. So that's I think that definitely it definitely helped me.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, actually. I feel like if you look at people today, I'm just like including you in this, because I guess it's the same for you. But if you've been on the internet for like at a young age and for a long time, it's almost a very different environment than if like normies come nowadays and get into crypto, and people that just like were never on like forums and shit like that, and just came through social media, through Instagram and whatever. They don't have that experience of being scammed before.
Yeah.
It's like way easier for them to just like come in and fall for all the stupid tricks.
Yeah, exactly. They're the ones getting one shot by all, like this is why all those grifter accounts are so big on this on CT. Like, you have a few of those guys with like 200,000-300,000 followers, and all they post is like this, like a rainbow slop chart of Bitcoin going to 3 million. But then all those guys, they buy into that, and they buy all of their grifts and their scam coins launches and stuff. Like, it's really, like, you can definitely explain it. It's just inexperienced people, like, and they're the ones getting absolutely wrecked by these grifters. So I think that's a good point.
So what does your trading look like nowadays?
Still kind of the same. Like, I use my style, and or I guess the thing that I've had success with the most is just like very long-term swing trading for the most part. So like, it's close to investing, but a little bit less. Like, it's still a little bit more active than just investing. But I try mostly to trade narratives a bit. So, and that's really changed quite a lot in the last, I think, year and a half. Like, rotations have just become so much faster that it doesn't really fit that way of trading much anymore. Like, I used to be decent at spotting like opportunities over longer times. Like, for example, the Solana trade I did quite well in. I bought a bunch at like, I think $19-20, and I held that all the way up till I sold gradually near the top, a little bit further from the top. But that was kind of a good trade for me. But I think those types of trades haven't really rolled around much anymore. I guess recently you had Zcash, which was pretty ridiculous. But that as well, that's just gone so much faster than something like Solana did. And I kind of noticed that it's kind of changed that way. And like, Plasma was a bit of an oopsie for me, but I did it on like relatively small size as well, not like with Solana. Solana, I went, I think, most of my portfolio I put in at that stage, because I was like, this is a really good risk reward spot. And I don't think those are I guess this stage in the cycle, or just the way the market is right now, that doesn't really happen too much anymore. But that's really been my style of trading. It's just buying and holding for a little bit longer time. Like, I've tried lower time frame trading as well, but I just noticed that I'm just not as good at it, and I haven't had the practice, and I don't have the experience. And I think like my trade management and stuff, it's just not really used to that. And I think I make a lot of mistakes, so I don't really do that. And whenever I do, it's like small size, small risk, stuff like that. Like, I'm I'm quite, I think managing your risk is quite important. So yeah, mostly longer term swing stuff, I guess, is how I would describe it.
So you mostly look at like narratives and sentiment on Twitter, what is popular, and just like go from that.
Yeah. Try to kind of see what's what's kind of mispriced, like generally speaking, like something like Solana was. I kind of saw at the time, it's like, okay, this is really just because of the FTX fallout, right? I think Solana was, and still, I guess, still is, just a very user-friendly chain, and it had a lot of potential to attract a lot of users. And I thought, yeah, okay, this is just quite clearly super oversold simply because of what happened with FTX. And I think this is a good spot to just buy some and just hold for quite a while. And that worked out quite well. So I kind of try to look at stuff like that when the market allows for it, and when the market doesn't allow for it, right? Like right now, I like to just hold stuff like BTC and sometimes ETH, and sit in dollars for a bit. Try not to FOMO into too many things, and if I do, try to keep the size a bit small, keep it manageable.
I feel like back then the Solana trade was like extremely obvious. Maybe not from like the dollar standpoint, but like for me it was very obvious that it's, if there is like a next cycle, when the next cycle starts, that Solana will be a big thing in it, because it like just had the fastness and technology aspect and whatever, and FTX drop. But like I didn't have any money back then. I was poor, so I couldn't really buy anything. But that was like very very good trade. I think that many people caught.
Yeah, I think so. And as well, like if you've lived through like an ETH DeFi season, or call it what you want, if you saw how the fees like skyrocketed, you just know, like, okay, like, this is not something that's a massive amount. Like no matter how much the .eths like to argue otherwise, it's not a chain that a lot of people are going to use for things like this. And Solana just was, and yeah, agree with you. I think that was, a lot of people caught that trade, and I think it was quite obvious, and it was a really good chance to sort of get a liquid, like what was it? If you really caught the bottom, like the 20x, 30x, something like that. Yeah, it was a pretty good opportunity.
Are you still technology pilled nowadays, like back then, or
no? Like not really. No, I think I mostly just, as I said, mostly about the narrative is more important than the tech, I think. And especially in crypto, I think like everything is so backwards in here. Like the stuff that bumps, like especially since meme season, I guess, like that all went out of the window. Like if you see how stuff with solid tech, I guess, on paper performs, like it doesn't matter, as long as, like, if the tokenomics are absolute, trash, then it doesn't matter how great the technology is. And if people don't care about the token, then it's never going to perform well. And I'm in this market to just make money. I think that's stuff too about tech and about the next Ethereum and this and that. Like you quickly learn to kind of let that go, I think. So I don't care too much anymore. Stuff like Hyperliquid, for example, does interest me quite a bit, because it's quite obvious that that's from a technical point of view, that's just a very good project and a good thing to have in crypto. So I can definitely appreciate that. But the more abstract stuff is just, I just don't even read into it anymore. Just look at tokenomics. Look at, is there a reason for this token to go up in price? If so, trade it. If not, doesn't matter. I guess I got a bit pessimistic on that point, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. I also used to be in it for the tech. Like I joined in like 2017, and I was really into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything. And even in 2021, it was like when DeFi was there, I was like, yo, this is gonna do stuff. This is gonna change the world. I kind of fell for the narrative that was around back then of like ETH is like better than Bitcoin, and then do whatever. And then 2022 came around, and you just realized like, this is probably not happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's stuff you really learn by by experiencing it, by grabbing a bit of drawdown, even though the tech is so great. You start to realize like, it's really not as important as how many bags of this stuff the VCs have, and how much of it is unlocking during bad market conditions. The tech's not going to win over that. So.
No, not really, unfortunately. But at least that's why it's nice to have stuff like Hyperliquid, where it's a bit more where there's like something to it, and it's like an actual product. Whether it's like perfect or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But at least there's like some innovation going on there, and like some people that are trying to do stuff and not just grift.
And it's easy to sort of, as a market participant, see the value of it and experience the value of it. And I think that's why that kind of also jumped out at me, because you can really, like, the user experience is something that anyone can really get involved with. Something like Plasma, I can't tell you what Plasma does apart from go down in price. So it's
I'm not sure anyone can.
No.
It's like a stable coin chain or whatever for I don't really know what
Stable coins. Yeah, I don't know, man.
it's
Just...
anything about trillions and yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
sure.
happy it closed at the right time.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, man.
Have you ever what have been some of your like biggest learnings since you've been in crypto for quite a while, almost 9 years at this point? What have been some of your like mistakes and some of the things that you learned from some traumatic events or something like that?
Yeah, mostly like the importance of learning how to sell, because as we just discussed, like, it's at the start, it's really easy to fall for the whole, oh, this is world changing tech, and everyone talks about very long time frames, and it's like, oh, this is going to go to X and Y price, and I think after you've experienced your first like real, like, an amount of money that's like meaningful to you, and you've round tripped that, like you've seen that money, or that imaginary number sort of disappear in front of your own eyes, is when you start realizing how important it is to learn to sell. And it's really hard to sell in crypto, especially if you are like very active on CT, because as we all know, CT is like a very extreme form of whatever the current market condition is, right? So if it's really bullish, then everyone's really, really bullish, and if it's really bearish, and everyone's acting like the world's gonna disappear. And it can be easy to get sucked into whatever the current sentiment is on CT, I found, and I was definitely, I fell victim to that as well. And before CT, it was like, I don't know, I was active on a bunch of forums or like subreddits or whatever, and it's the same, because it's just a whole bunch of bagholders sort of reinforcing beliefs, and it's really easy to get stuck into that mindset, and it becomes really hard to sell, because all you think about is, oh, but what if it goes higher? And the truth is, once you start selling, and once you start like taking some money out instead of putting it in, then you start realizing, oh, if it goes up, then I'll just have more to sell. Like, it doesn't have to be black and white. You don't have to sell everything. You can just you can sell a bit, and then it's not going to hurt you. Selling 10% of your bag, and then it doubles again. You're not going to think about, oh man, that 10% would have. No, you're looking at what you have left, and if it goes down, you're happy, like, oh, at least I took this amount of money out. So it's really, I think, learning how to sell is very important, especially on the way up. And just in general, I think just knowing how and when to take profit, and really, focusing on that, and also just kind of being aware of that, when stuff is constantly going up. We haven't had much of that recently, but if you remember still, like, when stuff goes up a lot, it's really, important that you just, smash the sell button every now and again, and don't look back.
Always be selling.
Yeah, exactly.
The subreddits are actually one of the worst places ever. Like, I remember before I only made my account in 2021. Before that, I used like the normal cryptocurrency subreddit, which is already quite bad.
Yeah,
like a couple of the others. But if you go into like the individual communities for coins, that's like especially if you, I mean, I guess we are like a little bit sophisticated coming from CT or whatever, but even like regular CT participants are a bit more sophisticated, I would say, than the people in those subreddits, because they are really like, it's just bagholder code.
Yeah. Oh, dude, one of my hobbies in 2022 used to be going to like, what was it? I think the Shiba Inu or whatever that coin was, and go to that subreddit. Dude, it was so funny. Like, on the days that it went down like double digits, the posts on there were so funny. It was just bagholders telling each other, "Don't sell, hold. This is just market manipulation," and all that stuff. Yeah, it was so funny.
Yeah, it's very insane. Like, I really realized, like, when I joined crypto Twitter, because before that, because I was so much into the tech, I never really thought about the financial aspects that much, like trading and how markets move and whatever. I didn't know anything about that. And on the subreddit, they regularly make posts about, like, I don't even know what, like, some whale woke up or whatever, or something happened. This is the reason that Bitcoin dropped 10% this week or whatever. Like, they make up random narratives all the time for why price moves the way it does. And only when I joined Twitter and saw that there's people trading and learned a bit through that, and they explained a bit more how market dynamics actually work, then I realized, like, all of this stuff that people talk about or think moves the market has like nothing to do with it at all.
No, exactly. People are so desperate to know reasons behind, especially when it goes down. Of course, like they don't care how it goes up. Once it
Yeah.
starts going down, it's like, oh, dude, who's selling? What's happening? And I always find something to blame. Yeah.
So you've been on CT for 4 years now. Have you
Yeah.
started posting like immediately when you made your account, like reply guying or?
Yeah, I think I was just mostly reply guy. I think when I first made the account, I was just I don't know, I was just bull posting some random shit going. It's like let's see if I can get some followers by posting absolute trash, kind of And I gave that up quite quickly, and I started just following people now, and then realizing that they're either a grifter or they have no idea what they're talking about, and then unfollowing them, and then just kind of I kept my follow. I still only follow like 400 and something people because I'm quite like peculiar about who I want to interact with and who I don't want to interact with. Because there's such a large percentage of CT accounts that are just they have some sort of either in the past I did something shady and then they just kind of pretend that I didn't and everyone just kind of forgets about it.
Yeah.
And I try to really kind of only follow the right. And I also like to keep my timeline clean because and also really stay away from like the For You page and stuff because there's so much absolute trash on there. So yeah, I kind of built that out from the start, just reply guying a bunch of guys and like Marusha and Delta and all those guys. I used to just get into the reply, and I really try to make an effort to not be because of course a reply guy has kind of a bad name, right? Like a reply guy is just someone annoying who's always trying to start arguments with you in your comments. Like
I feel like nowadays it's maybe a bit different because maybe it's a bit more appreciated because the replies are just full of like bots and Kaito farmers and stuff like that, and the art of reply gang has kind of been lost a bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's changed a lot because back then it was really like, oh, reply. Look at this reply guy. He's telling me I'm stupid for selling. And I always try to make an effort to not do that, but just like ask normal questions or just kind of shit post with everyone and not try to start stupid arguments that no one cares about anyway. And I think now it's a lot different. I think reply guys now are like more rare because, as you said, like there's so much bots and so much AI slop everywhere, and the launch of Kaito also did a lot of damage to CT. I think. So it's a lot different now. But back then, I used to just do that, and then every once in a while post some, some shit post, some cat posting and stuff. If I found a funny cat meme, whatever, just tweet it, stuff like that. And I just kind of followed more people, started interacting with more people, and just now all of a sudden we're 4 years. Because I joined. January 2021 is my creation date. Yeah.
Has it helped in your trading being a reply guy or being on CT?
I think so. I think like the inspiration, for example, for like the Solana trade, I did like find on CT at first, like before I started looking into it myself. I saw, I think Moon Overlord is one of the guys I also used to follow like way back when, and he talked about it's like I think he said like the easiest kingmaker trade of next cycle, and then he just put the Solana chart from $8 to 250, and he fucking nailed that. Let's be real. But there's things like that. Yeah, I think it's a good place as long as you know who's a grifter and who's not a grifter. It can be a good place for inspiration, but it can also be kind of a trap.
Yeah, it's not that easy to know especially if you're like new on CT. I remember back in 2021, I just followed like everyone, or it's like some list or whatever, and before I feel like when I discovered Insilico, then I kind of started to realize like who is a grifter and who isn't. I remember when I discovered his account, I was kind of like, yo, why is this guy always so negative and like bearish, and all the other people are just saying we're going to 100k and everything change the world and whatever. And then slowly over time I started realizing he's like right about a lot of stuff.
I remember finding Insilico, and I think he opened his account because he was always on lock. You couldn't follow him like that. And then once I got in and I started reading his tweets, like, what the fuck is going on here? Because it was most of the time he was just complete shit posting, right? Like, but then every once in a while he would put, like, nowadays he doesn't really post about markets anymore, which I understand. But back then he would probably sometimes like posting that, and it would be so contrarian to what was going on the timeline at the time, and I was like, wait, what's this guy talking about? But yeah, he's a character, man. I love Insilico.
Yeah, me too. What, like, you're still working a job, right?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Why have you not become a NEET yet? Is it something that you want to do even, or are you just looking to keep working because it like fulfills you, or?
Yeah, I don't. I have a very like easy job. Like I can be honest about that. Like I can work from home like almost all of the time, and it's a relatively well-paying job for the effort I have to put in, and it's also some form of risk management a little bit for me. It's like I know I have the peace of mind that if everything goes to zero, then it doesn't matter. I don't lose my house. I don't lose my whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm just risk averse like that. And besides, like as I said, like I do this mostly swing trading stuff, and I like being able to do that without having to think about, oh, dude, I have to pay my mortgage next month or something like that. Like I'm always a big advocate for that, because I think a lot of people who start trading, they just have this idea. I think it's mostly like younger people who are like still in school, and the only idea they have is like, oh, I do not want to work a job. Like I just want to trade. I just want to be retired. That's all they talk about, right? And they don't realize like how much that influences the way you trade if you don't have any other income. Like you have to start making decisions based on needs that you like, financial needs that you have, and the market doesn't care that you have your rent to pay tomorrow. If there's no trades for your system, or there's no setup, you can't force that just because you have to pay rent. And I think is what kind of ruins people when they start out. It's like they don't want a job. Like a job is evil, and all I want to do is just trade, and I'll make it like that. Yeah, you're just making it a lot harder on yourself.
Yeah.
But then, I'm speaking from a very comfortable position. Like as I said, I get to work from home a lot. It's a nice job. It's a nice industry that I work in. I understand, like if you don't have access to that, or you have to work manual labor 5 days a week, it's a completely different story. But for me, it's that. And besides that, like I'm not at a stage where I can comfortably just quit my job now and then live off what I have now. It's like, no, it's a much better idea for me to just stick with the job and also like build a career on the side. And then if everything goes, sideways crypto wise, it doesn't matter. I'm completely fine. And if not, and I've worked a job. I have like some social stuff in my life. I have like a little bit of things that keep me just not bored during the day as well, because I'm not that active in the trading thing most of the time. So if I'm just sitting on my ass all day looking at the chart, which to be fair, I still kind of do, but then I'm more likely to start making, trades out of boredom or whatever. And I don't think that would help me very much either.
Would you like to be a full-time trader at some point, or anything in that regard?
Well, of course, I'd love to be in a space where I'm like financially free and I don't have to work. But I don't know if full-time trader would really, fit me all that well. I feel like I would have to have some other thing to also keep me busy, some sort of project or something to focus on as well. Because I think I don't know if I would really get bored that quickly, but it's also not something like. It's not really my ambition to do.
I mean, if you only do swing trading, then you kind of have to do something else to keep you occupied. Otherwise, you're just sitting around all day doing nothing and then waiting.
Yeah. And I like shit posting all day as much as the next guy, but I think at some point that's gonna start like becoming a bit too.
I mean, it does get boring, and you also notice like as much as we like to like there are people that are like terminally online, but for example, if you look at the weekends and whatever, the activity is like a lot, like decreases a lot, and people are offline, people have a life, and you can't just post any time of day all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and all my friends are, they work normal jobs and stuff. So all my social activities in the weekend anyway. Like I can't call up a friend of mine on a Wednesday afternoon and say, "Yo, you want to get a beer?" It's like, no, man, I have to work. What are you talking about? Stuff like that it's not really possible anyway. So, and I want to reiterate, like I'm in a very lucky position with my job. I understand that there's a lot like harder jobs out there, and I fully understand why you would want to look towards trading or something else to sort of escape that whole what does Andrew Tate call it, the rat race or whatever, the matrix, whatever you want to call it. I fully understand that, but for me it's a good sort of balance right now.
I'm curious, what kind of background do you have, if you don't mind sharing? Or
so my college was like a sort of a general commercial economics, like I guess a bachelor you would call it, and then afterwards I did a data science master's. So that was quite technical.
Nice.
But then as like for a career, I didn't really want to become like a data scientist or a programmer, because I like being a bit more social, like working more with people. So I went more towards sort of a like data management sort of route, so where it's having a good knowledge about data and data science really helps, but you're mostly busy with people and more sort of business related stuff and not too much into the technical. Like I didn't want to be a data analyst or something like that, because I think I would get bored very quickly with that. So it's, I guess, yeah, data management, sort of commercial economics, that
Has
sort
it
of
helped
thing.
you in your trading, like analyzing your trades or anything like that?
It has done, like I've done some projects like for myself when I got bored, because I could program a little bit, and I don't use my programming now in my job, so I try to, like, every once in a while sort of polish it up again, because the thing with
Mhm.
programming is if you don't do it, you'll forget it, and you're never gonna get better, and even worse, you'll just forget it. And of course, now you have AI, so you can like vibe code something in 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
that kind of helps. But yeah, I think it can definitely help, but it doesn't really like fit my style of trading much. Like I don't have to automate anything or things like that, but you can definitely use it to just analyze results, things like that. I think it's a very valuable skill to have for most people in markets. I think I don't use it enough, to be honest. I think I could probably find more applications for it, but I try to, like, every now and again.
Have you noticed anything interesting from that? Any example or anything in particular?
Yeah, how hard it is to work with Exchange API sometimes, and how hard it is to get quality data. Like
Yeah.
that's a challenge, man. I thought, like, oh, dude, I'm just gonna get this data real quick, and then I'm just gonna fuck around with it a little bit, and then it's a process, man. Like, it's difficult to do that. So yeah, notice that definitely. And I think there's a lot of things you can do, and especially now with AI, I think you don't really need a much of a background in programming. I know, like, if Insilico's not going to listen to this, but if he listens to this, he would shoot me on site. But I think there's, like, you can use Copilot and stuff, or whatever AI model you want. Like, you can really get something basic off the ground so much faster now than it would have, like, even 3 years ago. It would have been so much harder. And especially like debugging and stuff, like if you run into issues, it's so easy to just kind of find what's going wrong. Like I remember during my studies, I would spend hours on Stack Overflow for the most basic thing, because it was like this really specific school assignment that no one had done before. So I had to go all over Stack Overflow to try and find out what the hell was wrong. And now it's like you chuck it in whatever AI model you have, and it finds it in 3 seconds. So it's a lot easier to get started with as well now, I think.
For sure. Has your lifestyle changed in any way? Like, are you still motivated the same way to work your job as you see your crypto gains increasing?
Yeah, that's difficult. I try to really keep that stuff like split, I like, and it kind of sounds backwards, because at the same time I'm advocating to, like, take profits and make the money real, but on the other side, I really try to, yeah, really keep it separate, because otherwise, yeah, it does become sort of demotivating, because the numbers, of course, are completely different from real life, especially like in jobs and stuff. So I have to, like, kind of mentally keep track of that and think, okay, but this is different, and whatever comes from crypto is extra, and it really has helped me a lot so far, like in like buying a house and car and everything like that. But I really try to mentally keep it, and maybe that doesn't make any sense, but for me it's important, because yeah, like like you said, like if you start letting that go, sort of, yeah, if you look at it the same way, both like types of money, I guess, yeah, then you're gonna have a really hard time to work a job.
Yeah,
But also, I know that, like, markets work in ways, like sometimes you have very, like, big peaks or whatever, or you have like, in peak bull markets, stuff becomes really really weird. But then you also have, like, markets like right now, like if you're exposed to a bunch of altcoins, and you have been since for the last month, then all of a sudden it's the other way, right? You lose so much money, and yeah, so it's I try to keep it, like, completely separate from each other, and
yeah.
that way, yeah, I managed to kind of cope with it that way. And
Do you have
yeah,
like separate bank accounts or something like that, or?
no, I think, yeah, the money ends up in the same bank accounts, but yeah, it's more of a mental thing, I think. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
No, that definitely makes sense. That's why I was asking. Like, I can imagine that
Yeah.
to be kind of like an impediment after a while.
Yeah. It definitely can be, and it has been, like, especially like during when I was still in school, because back then I wasn't working any jobs because I didn't want to. Like, at that point, I was like, like the average trader who starts now is like, dude, I'm not gonna work a supermarket. That's why I did the RuneScape selling gold stuff. Like, I was always trying to avoid having a job, so, like, I understand it. But back then, yeah, I because I round tripped such an amount of money that for me at the time was like out of the world. Like, I was super poor. I had a bunch of student debts, and my only income was my student loan at the time. So when you make like your entire student debt in like 2 months, or well, make in quotation marks, and then you watch it disappear again, like that. that was an expensive lesson, but I think that helped me a lot as well. Like it was, yeah, it's something you have to experience to understand, I think.
Do you do any other stuff in the market apart from swing trading? Like, have you ever been in the trenches or like airdrop farming or anything like that?
Yeah, never super successfully. Like during the peak meme coin season, like I actually ran up like a little Solana wallet to quite a decent amount of money.
Mhm.
But I round tripped a lot of that. Like it was during when like Doc with Hat and Popcat and all those like the
Yeah.
major memes, call them that, they were still running. I still remember the moment. I think Doc with Hat got like a Coinbase listing, and I still remember it went berserk in like a couple of minutes.
Mhm.
And I still remember thinking in the back of my head, "Oh, dude, I should sell this right now. I should sell this now. I know what Coinbase listings do. I should sell right now." But for some reason, my ape brain took over, and it said, "No, no, no, it's going to go higher." And I
Yeah.
round tripped a lot on that, and same on a bunch of other coins. So I never consistently became very profitable on chain. I think I made some money. I think some of it made it back to my like normal portfolio, but mostly just experimenting a bit and yeah, losing a lot of it. And then I think for airdrop farming, I have a vivid memory of having of clicking someone's Hyperliquid referral link like very early on,
Yeah.
and looking at it and thinking, I can't be asked right now. I'll do this later, And then I never did, and I completely missed Hyperliquid. And I remember I was coping so badly when the token went live. I still remember because it just went up, 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 and I was like, oh my god, I missed this completely. And
But I remember back then it also kind of still like sucked a little bit. Like
yeah,
when it first came out, it wasn't that great, and people kind of memed the name Hyperliquid because it wasn't really that liquid. And perp dexes in general, because of DYDX and GMX or whatever was around back then, didn't
yeah,
have that good of a reputation as they do now.
yeah,
Because all
yeah.
those products kind of sucked, so it wasn't that obvious if you look like back in hindsight that it would.
No, that's not really the reason why I'm coping so badly over. It's really the fact that I still remember having the sign up page open and just
Yeah.
being too lazy at that stage to go. But then again, I'm not a perp trader, so I don't know how successfully I would have really farmed it realistically. So it's really not something to get hung up on too much, I don't think. And then and something like I think margin fi is something that I did actually farm quite a bit, of course, out of all things. And I'm pretty sure the token's still not live. I think I recently saw a post by them that it's still not launched. So that's
So, no.
no. So that was like one of the ones that I actually farmed quite a bit. I had quite a lot of money in Solana. I think
Yeah.
like lent out on there or whatever. I had a bunch of points, but yeah, well, we all know how that went. And then
Yeah,
Kaito, I guess. Wow.
classic.
Yeah, fucking margin. It still tilts me whenever I see their name on timeline.
I try to like I hate Kaito as a thing, as a product and whatever, but if you get free money, obviously it's like still nice. But I try to sign up, but I remember the authorization for Twitter didn't work properly. And I tried
Yeah,
a couple of times and I just gave up, and I was like, but then I saw all my friends got like 3K for free or whatever, and I was like,
yeah, dude. I like linked it. I never really tried to farm yaps that much because I thought that was super cringe. Because all of a sudden everyone was like making threads and stuff. I didn't do that, but I had a couple of I think a tweet. I don't remember what it was. Maybe like flaming Ansem or something that was like really viral for me anyway. And I got a lot of yaps from that.
yeah.
And then I got invited to a Telegram chat because at the time you could sell like votes to projects. Like projects would be buying votes, and we had a little group that would like pool together votes, and we would like
Mm.
sell the votes and get some money for it. And this was like right before the airdrop, I remember, because we were gonna vote for something, and then it fell out through, and that was going to be the first time I voted, and then I ended up saving because you had like a 7-day cooldown or something, and I didn't vote, I remember, and then the airdrop came out, and it turns out that having like voting actively in the proposals, whatever, was a requirement to get a lot more money from your airdrop.
Oh.
So I ended up getting a lot less because I never voted during that. So then in the chat I saw everyone got like 10k, 15k, 20k, and I think I got like 1500 or something. It was still free money, it was still fun, but I was like, oh man, if only I had voted, I would have gotten like 4 times this.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
Many such cases. I'm just happy it's kind of like dying down and disappearing now, because I think it's a retarded product, and I really hate it. It's like I'm sure you will understand because you're also like a Twitter power user, and I feel like like the last thing we need is like any more financial incentives to post
Oh
anything.
my god, yeah, dude.
It's-
Social fi is the stupidest thing that anyone's
yeah,
ever come up with recently. Like, who comes up with something like Kaito, where you incentivize people to post a bunch of like AI word slop with a bunch of buzzwords in there because it makes them money. Like, you understand that like the entire third world has internet, and this is like a lot of money for them. So the only outcome is that you're gonna ruin the whole platform. But yeah, I don't care. I mean, they launched their little token. I'm sure they made a lot of money.
I actually have a funny whiff story, which is also connected to you a little bit because your pinned tweet is, I think, the Jim Talbot taking profit video.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right, yeah, and that is something that I really have taken to heart because I mostly trade lower time frames, and I quite enjoy taking profits and stuff, even if it's like stuff can run more.
Mm-hmm.
And I like my friend in like December 2023, I think he sent me some with like $100 worth, and that was like before meme coins really got started and whatever.
Yeah.
And I sold it like a week or a month later for like a 10x, so it was like $1,000, and I was like, yo, I got $3,000, I'm happy. And it was like 100k with, so it would have been like
Oh my. Yeah.
500k or something at the top. And I remember like having that take profit thing in my mind. And I also actually I met Jim Talbot before, and I like told
Yeah.
him that because of that video I kind of like missed out on not generational wealth for like a little bit off.
Yeah, dude.
But
Like, and for you, there's like another 1,000 people who bought early and then held it all the way down again. You know, I
yeah,
think the
I would
only.
have done the same. Like I would
Yeah.
have never just held until like the Pico top and then sold exactly there. Like,
No.
be realistic. It's not.
Yeah, I think the only person who like publicly did really well on Whiff and who I respect a lot for that as well is Block Race. Like, he made like a lot of money on Whiff. He was super early onto that. And the thing I respect about him is that he held until like the complete top, right? I mean, over the chart, I think it was like $4 something or something. I think he was still holding it. Yeah, we went to like 480. He was still holding at that point. And then I think he tweeted at like $2 or something. Like, it went down 50%. He's like, okay, guys, I'm selling my, because his wallet was really public, right? Like, everyone was looking at it. But he went like, yeah, guys, I'm selling it because I can buy my dream house and I can change my life. So I'm selling it here. And I think like that's so strong because like a lot of people who like make it big on paper on meme coins, they'll miss the top like everyone does. And then it'll go down 50%. They're like, oh, it's going to go back up. I'm not selling.
Yeah.
And then they end up holding it all the way to zero. And I know for block raise, it was super public. And I know that even the amount of money everybody knew about. And it's like, okay, so you like accepted the fact that your like paper profit of like, I think it was 8 figures or something has halved. And you still now are strong enough to say, dude, okay, it's enough for me, right? I'm selling. And then he didn't make it his entire personality afterwards. Like, I respect that, man. I really like block race for that. I think he did super well on that.
I agree. He has me blocked for some reason.
Does he?
I don't know why I like his account, but I agree with what you said. I respect.
Yeah.
Or he's funny as well.
Yeah, really funny.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on like the current market environment? Where do you think we are in the cycle?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been like sort of operating under the assumption it's like very, very late. Like, either top is now in or like, yeah, I mean, of course, the last few weeks of price action have changed, I think, the picture quite a bit now.
Yeah.
I think this is like a really big moment where we are now, because if you look at the weekly chart on BTC now, it looks awful. Like, if it closes anywhere around here, like, it looks so cooked to me. And I don't know, like, I don't know, maybe I'm not that good at reading charts, but this just looks like awful to me. So unless it puts in like a solid bounce, like it gets above 100k quite quickly again, we can start thinking like maybe we still have something left. But and also it kind of depends on stocks, because stocks don't really look that bad to me, especially now that it's bouncing a little bit.
Bounce, it's a bit better, but
Yeah, so I find it hard. Like, I've just reduced risk a lot, like, over the year now, because I think, especially like, I think altcoins topped on like the Trump launch. I think Trump launch kind of killed alts for the rest of the year. Like, we've kind of seen that. Like, especially I think Solana was like the leading indicator for just like, I'm not gonna say alts.
Kind of dead since then. Like, it's just it's zenith or whatever you say, and it's just like I remember back then they called it like on-chain NASDAQ and whatever, and then like
Yeah.
that narrative is long gone, and then it's just
Yeah.
meme coin casino, and just meme coins are kind of dead now as well. So
Yeah, exactly. I think that's when that stuff topped. The same for meme coins. Like that was the top for meme coins. I think that almost every chart there, and then there's been a few, but like the launches have also just been completely different since then. Like it's just been a different market. So I've been like ever since Solana topped, like I actually have a sell at like 293 or 291 or something. So that was really good. Of course, a very small amount, but the rest of it I sold above 200, and I didn't really look back towards Solana anymore. And ever since then, I've been just mostly in majors, making a trade here and there, losing a bit of money on plasma. It is what it is. And then I rode ETH a little bit. I sold a bunch of ETH. So now I'm careful now. Like it could go back up, and if it does, then I've got some money to buy whatever strong new things come out. Like that's also kind of my thought process. Is like if it's not over, if we're still have a push in the cycle left, then there will be some more opportunities again to get some exposure. And if not, I'm happy to have made what I've made here. Sit on my stables a bit. I'll hold my Bitcoin. I don't care. That's I'll hold that till next time. Or if I'm completely wrong, if Bitcoin dies, it dies. I think it's a difficult spot. I personally, I'm not taking very big risks here. But then again, like I'm not a huge trader. I think my trade that I've just kind of made for a little bit, like the medium term, is moving some into cash, and I've percentage wise, I have quite a bit of cash now. Not really looking to rush into buy. I can't bring myself to buy Zcash. I should have done that a bunch of times already, but I can't bring myself to do it. So yeah, I would say tail end, and it really depends on what happens now here, on like if you can even think about continuation, or if we're now just gonna bleed a little bit.
yeah. What do you think about like Monad, MegaETH, the public sale meta, I guess, which we've had since with Pump and then Plasma as well. I mean, Plasma is probably a bad example, but the ones that are still to come.
Monad is also a bad example because I didn't give me an allocation for the airdrop, so I hate Monad. No, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I haven't really been too active in those. Like same for MegaETH, I didn't try to get allocation. It's not really something I've done before, so I don't really have a very informed opinion on them. I think Monad is, for Monad or however you want to call it, I think they waited a very long time to launch their token. Like I remember seeing this. I was in their Discord. I noticed the other day. I joined the Discord like a really long time ago when when I read somewhere that I think Kobe was like a seed investor. I was like, oh, you know what? I'll join the Discord. Maybe there's some airdrop farming to be done. Whatever.
Yeah.
Never looked at it. But like if you look back how long they've been going and the test nets and whatever else, yeah, I think they've kind of missed the prime time to launch, to be honest. So I'm really curious to see how it's gonna go.
I mean, I hope it stays like up a little bit more until TGE, so my airdrop is worth a bit more. But
of course,
the overall market looks right now, I'm not too convinced, to be honest. I'm also quite a big hater. I think it's kind of a useless project.
Yeah, I think it's another L1. It's another like high TPS, and I don't really know too much about it. But I think most people are kind of in your shoes, where they have an airdrop allocation and they just kind of want to sell. So I just wondering, like, who are you going to sell to? Like, who's excited to buy?
But it's only a 3% allocation.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's
like so 90% for the team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think long term, I don't know if it's gonna be any different from all the other big VC launches. Like
it can't really, if you like the team allocation is that high. I remember like I talked with the previous podcast was with Scott Phillips, and he was also saying like it's probably just a free for average short after like 7 days or whatever, the initial pump, and then it's just like
yeah, exactly. It'll blow out like early shorters, because of course this is like, I think it's a pretty popular idea that it's just like in this market condition. So probably the first week it'll do decently, and then it'll get people excited a bit, and then it'll just bleed to death. Yeah.
Are you in general like a believer in the cycle still, or?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't know if it's like black and white, because I can definitely recognize that it's a whole different market ever since we've got all these ETFs now. Like it's just different. Like now that the TradFi guys are involved, so I think it's lazy to assume that it'll just do the same thing it's done for the past bunch of cycles. I don't think it will. But yeah, I think like because the bull market has looked a lot different from previous ones, so I think a bear market will also look different from previous cycles. And yeah, it's different, and I find it kind of it's hard to adapt, I think. And it's been like a hard few years. Like there's been like a lot of nice opportunities, I think, but you've really had to be a lot more active and yeah, a lot more like precise with your like coin picks and or trades to really make it, you know, not like before where we like that's where the whole alt season term came from, right? Like you
They've been
expect
around since 2016. Like back then, it was a way different environment.
way different. Yeah, I was throwing a dart at a wall, and whatever coin you hit, buy, and you make money. And it's just not like that anymore. I don't know if it'll ever will be again. But I'm really curious to see how it's gonna go from here, because and also very curious to see how low Bitcoin can really go or will really go now. I think it'll still go lower than people think, because I think it's also too easy to assume that because it's an ETF, it can no longer go down 50%. I think it definitely still can. So yeah, we'll see.
I'm not much of a cycle proponent, although I feel like the current chart actually fits it quite well. If that was like the top, it would have been like pretty aligned with all of these things. But I also think that it's like, I do think because of the ETFs, like the ceiling is a bit higher, but it can still go down 50%. But 50% is like not that much compared to cycles before.
Yeah,
like I feel like the ceiling is a bit higher now than it was before, and it's also going to move a bit more like TradFi. And like an 80% down event is only when there's like some geopolitical stuff or whatever, or Ukraine war, COVID, whatever, you know, where like the indices also go down a lot.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Yeah, I think because right now we don't really, and I want to knock on wood for this, but we don't really have any big black swan events pushing us down. Like you said before, like you had COVID, you had FTX collapsing, you had all these other things that were playing a role. And it's also that's also I've never been like fully yes no on cycles. It's like I don't think these markets move based on a calendar. There's so much more at play that it's way too easy to just say yes because it's been 2.5 years, whatever, I will now sell or I will now buy. I think that's not really, it might be more coincidence or just how things played out before, and it's not something that's a given for any future cycles or cycle ends or
it would be great if we got another 80% discount, but
right now, yes.
Will it really be that easy, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like if I can write another like kind of liquid 10x from a bottom somewhere, please sign me up. Yeah, definitely.
I guess we got some copium with like midterms next year, and Trump really criming it up for us or whatever they're gonna do. And
yeah, all depends on where he's gonna crime it up. You know, if he's just gonna focus on his Trump coin or what's the other one? He's in like kind of
World Liberty Finance,
yeah, that's
whatever it's called.
Yeah, I'm not buying those. So if it's those, then I'm not gonna really.
Yeah. No, but they're still. I think they're also holding like a lot of Bitcoin and ETH as well. Like in that token, whatever. I don't really understand what it does or what it is or whatever. But it's like holding other assets, and they're like bull posting them and whatever. I think he has made half of his or more than half of his net worth now from crypto. So
yeah, it's so ridiculous.
He's kind of incentivized to keep going.
Yeah, and didn't he also like print a lot of money just from the Trump trading fees, like at the start? I think because it wasn't I think I read that somewhere as well. Yeah, and I think just Trump is just a wild card in general, right? Like we've seen that with the whole tariff things, and I think there's so much stuff that he does and he says that also influences markets that it's hard to predict, I think.
I do feel like now is still the good time though, which is why I'm not like this is also not an argument in favor of the cycle, because I feel like as long as he's still president, the base case is like better than if we're gonna get a Democrat again in 2028, and then like they're just gonna roll back everything and then rape the industry again. And
yeah, from a regulatory standpoint, definitely. Like, there's a lot less risk of just stuff being outright banned now. You know, that's definitely true.
Like, we kind of forgot about that now, but it was like a real risk still last year. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mr. Gary, right? Like he was not our friend, Mr. Gensler.
I think that's pretty much it from what I have to say, or what I have to talk about. Did you have anything else that you want to talk about, or that you have like that you want to share?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's been good chatting to you, you know, and want to remind everyone, please offer him some money every now and again. you'll trust yourself, or you'll love yourself for it. Trust me.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it was really fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no worries.